come in. Oh, hi. We're back in the study. Clear slate. Oh, I've got this great sea of books around me at the moment. But I do have a seat because I'm working on I've got to write a chapter for the Oxford Handbook of Allegory on allegory amongst the Inklings. I thought it was due July 2022. It turns out it's due July 2021, so I'm suddenly surrounding myself with all my Lewis and Tolkien and Barfield and Charles Williams. But of course I'm trying to do other things as well. And in fact, rather than troubling you with academic things, I'm frustrated because I can't carry on with my Arthur story, but I have got a bit more done. And I'm hoping once this task for OUP is done, later on in the summer I'll really go for it. But I have started the next section. You may remember that I read to you bit by bit the coming of Galahad and the Grail. I did about his childhood, about how then he's knighted by Lancelot, his father, about how he comes and draws the sword out of the floating stone and sits in the siege perilous, and then the Grail appears. Remember all that? And then they all vow to go off on the quest. And that was where it ended. And you remember there was quite a big emphasis that when Galahad arrives, he has neither sword nor shield. He has an empty scabbard, and that's it. And then, of course, he achieves the sword from the floating block of marble. And Arthur prophesies that, in my version at least, that he will attain the shield. So the first adventure, as they set out, now they've left on the quest of the Grail, is in fact the adventure of the shield. So I write it out like that in my manuscript book with lots of crossings out. But eventually I try and print it out because otherwise I can't even read my own writing. So this is, as it were, the first book, if you like. The one I read you before is called The Coming of Galahad, and the next book is called Adventures on the Way, and the first adventure is the Silver Shield. So we'll just indulge ourselves in some ballad poetry if you're sitting comfortably. The Silver Shield. The day the Grail quest began, and each knight quelled his fears, they took their parting ways by lot, and set off at a quickening trot, with the great horn of Camelot still ringing in their ears. And Galahad rode out alone, and left the rest behind. He rode his charger far afield, his heart sang, though his lips were sealed. The gentle knight without a shield was pure of heart and mind. And 4 days out from Camelot he found an abbey fair. The evening star was shining bright, the abbey walls all glimmered white. Gates opened for the new-made knight, they made him welcome there. And in the chamber where he stayed he met 2 other guests. They made each other right good cheer. He asked what venture drew them here. We seek a shield no man may bear unless he be the best. We hear they keep within this place a strange and ancient shield, all wrought with magic rich and rare, a silver shield that none may bear save one, for whom it waiteth here to bear it in the field. They say, if it is taken up by some other born, who bears it will be sorely grieved, or wounded, or some way mischieved. But we think it might be achieved, we try it in the morn. And in the morn the abbot called his 3 guests to his cell. King Bagdemagus, Sir Iwain, and you, Sir Galahad, I ween, have heard the tales, but never seen the shield of which they tell. Come with me to the chapel now, and cross yourselves in fear. I'll show you something rich and rare, hung in the sanctuary there, wrought in the olden times most fair, for we hold many relics rare, and many hallows here. The chapel was most dark and dim, and yet was richly dight. They sensed the incense in the air, and high above the altar there a silver shield most strange and fair shone with unearthly light. It seemed a thing of ancientry, and yet shone clean and new. No rust bedimmed its lustre bright, no dust could touch its mirrored light. It held the face of each new knight and showed his features true. But each one saw his features there, both in and through a cross, a fair red cross on silver graved, the emblem of the Lord who saved the lost and fallen whom he loved, whose love redeems all loss. Take heed, my friends, the abbot said, this shield waits for one knight. Only the best may bear it out. Take heed, if you have any doubt, better to turn and go without, if it's not yours by right. Then Bagdemagus spoke in haste, I may not be the one, but yet my heart moves me to try. Better to take the chance than fly, and with regret to seethe and sigh for some deed never done. And rashly he did seize the shield and set it on his arm, and called his squire to bring his steed, and mounted and rode off with speed. See, I have dared to do the deed, how can I come to harm? He had not gone a mile, but barely two, when he encountered a strange knight, all clad in armour shining white, and all around him shone a light that glittered on the dew. The strange knight set his spear in rest, and gave a challenge true. And Bagdemagus set his spear, and turned his horse, and quelled his fear, and charged the white knight full and fair, thinking to pierce him through. With thunderous hoofs the horses charged, swift as a sudden gale. When Bagdemagus thought his spear must shock against the strange knight there, it seemed to pass through empty air, and pierce to no avail. But he himself was struck full sore with sudden, deadly force. He felt the shock, his armour broke, he felt the fresh blood seep and soak, the shield slipped free from off the stroke, and he fell from his horse. The white knight soon dismounted there, and took the silver shield. He called to Bagdemagus' squire. Alas, he said, alas, for ire, for folly, and for false desire, for love is a refining fire, where all must be revealed. Take up your wounded master now, and set him on his steed. Your master has a goodly name, and he will heal of wounds and shame. Go to the abbey whence you came, they'll tend him in his need. And take this shield also with you, bear it to Galahad, for this same shield is his by right, the purest and most gentle knight. Tell him to come by morning light, and meet me in this glade. Sir, said the squire, what knight are you, that Galahad may know? No earthly man may know my name, a wild white knight whom none can tame. I do not seek for earthly fame. Take thou this shield, and go. The squire set his good knight on horse, and gently took the shield, and tenderly he took his way, and slowly through the brightening day, back to the abbey from the fray, where many months the good knight lay, until his wound was healed. Sir, said the squire to Galahad, I bring fair news to you. My good king here was overthrown by one who claims nor name nor throne. He says this shield is yours alone, and bids you meet him on your own, out in the morning dew. Now blessed be my lord and king for these good tidings born. I will keep vigil here tonight, where this strange shield hung fair and bright. Then keep the tryst with that strange knight early tomorrow morn. And all night by the altar white he kept his vigil true, and through the chapel windows there the bright moon shone both full and fair, and filled the incense-scented air with glimmerings, and in his prayer young Galahad saw visions rare, and felt more than he knew. Before the dawn Sir Galahad rode through the forest dim. He knew not where the paths were laid, but even as he rode he prayed, and trusted he would find the glade where one knight waits for him. Beneath the interlacing boughs a new path was revealed, and piercing bright between the leaves as he rode through the forest eaves, first rays of sunlight lit his greaves, and shone out from his shield. And so he came unto the glade, a circle of green lawn, whereon the dewdrops brightly shone. Hard by a hermitage of stone he stayed his horse and stood alone, all in the brightening dawn. And like a shaft of sunlight, so suddenly he came, A moment in the brightening air when just before he was not there, he saw the white knight form in air and call him by his name. Well met, my good Sir Galahad, I greet you in God's name. Some only glimpse me in their dreams, for some a flickering image seems to shimmer out of lakes and streams. You see me as I am. Pray tell me, said Sir Galahad, in name of Christ most fair, the marvel of this ancient shield with blood-red cross on silver field, what mystery might be ennealed upon the shield I bear? Then listen well, the knight replied, you need to know the tale. This shield was made in elder time, and forged within a different clime, and saw great deeds untold in rhyme, which I am here to tell. More than 400 years ago, for so the legend saith, Joseph, of whom the old bards sing, from Arimath took flight and wing, and made this for a Paynim king whom he had brought to faith. And that king bore it for his faith through every gain and loss. And when his time came to depart, then Joseph came, and by his art and with the bright blood of his heart drew on it the good cross. And then good Joseph took the shield with other holy things, in an enchanted ship full fair, whose silken sails with breath of air brought Joseph to these islands here, so Taliesin sings. And Joseph made a prophecy concerning this same shield, that some day one of his own seed would rise in Logres' deepest need, and bear this shield, and do a deed whereby the land is healed. And Joseph's kin still kept the faith through darkness fierce and fell. They built the abbey fair and strong, and there the precious shield was hung, against the coming waited long of one who'd bear it well. So take the shield, Sir Galahad, and keep faith through the fray, and bear it for the ones who prayed, when all their hopes seemed sore delayed, but kept the faith still unafraid, that you might see this day. The white knight turned, and rode full fast back to the woodland way, but ere he reached beyond the glade, just as the sun's bright light might fade when by a cloud it's overlaid, he vanished clean away. Then Galahad took up the shield, and mounted on his steed. He heard the singing of the birds, and by the white knight's wondrous words, his knightly heart was warmed and stirred to dare and do the deed. So that's the next instalment. Thanks for listening.